If you've ever found yourself looking out an airplane window, staring into a full-on snowstorm and wondering, how is this even possible? Well, you're about to meet the people who make it happen. We're going to shine a spotlight on one of aviation's most critical and honestly overlooked jobs. Not just because it's fascinating, but because, for a lot of people looking for a new start, this could be a real opportunity. So seriously, think about it. You're sitting there, all comfortable in a warm cabin, watching the snow swirl outside. Have you ever really stopped to think about who's out there on the ground in that blizzard making your flight possible? They are truly the unsung heroes of winter travel, and their work, well, it's absolutely crucial. And that's really the whole point here. This quote comes from a series by writer Rob Kennedy, who's been digging into all these amazing overlooked jobs in aviation. He's making the point that this isn't just some cool job to watch from the window, it's a real, accessible career path, especially for anyone out there looking for a new direction right now. So, to really understand this job, you have to understand the stakes. And let's be clear, they couldn't be higher. We're about to see why this role isn't just important, it is quite literally a matter of life and death. The science behind it is actually pretty simple, but the consequences are just devastating. You don't need some huge, thick sheet of ice to cause a catastrophe. Nope. A thin layer of frost, something with the texture of sandpaper, is more than enough to mess up the perfectly smooth flow of air over our wing. And when that happens, you lose the lift that keeps a massive airplane in the sky. And look, this isn't just theory. The tragedy of Air Florida Flight 90 is a terrifying, real-world example. Back in 1982, on a snowy day, the plane got de-iced at the gate, but then it got stuck in a long line on the taxiway, and in that time, new ice formed. Just moments after it finally took off, the plane stalled and crashed into the Potomac River. It was a defining and just heartbreaking moment for aviation safety. Every single procedure, every safety check that happens on the tarmac today was basically born from the lessons of that crash. So when you see these crews working, you're seeing the living legacy of that tragedy. Their entire job is to make sure nothing like that ever happens again. Okay, so we get why this is so critical, but what are these teams actually doing out there on a frozen tarmac? Let's open up the de-icing playbook and take a look. It's a really precise two-part mission that a lot of people get mixed up. First up is de-icing. Think of this part as cleaning. You're using a superheated fluid to just blast off any snow or ice that's already on the plane. But the second step, anti-icing, is the one that prevents another disaster. This is all about protection. You apply a thicker fluid that acts like a shield, stopping new ice from forming while the plane taxis and takes off. Remove, then prevent. That two-step dance is the absolute foundation of every single safe winter flight. And not all these fluids are created equal. They're even color-coded for a reason. You've got your thin orange Type 1 fluid for that initial blast, but then you get something like the bright green Type 4 fluid. It's thick, kind of gooey, and it's designed to cling to the wing of a giant jet as it's roaring down the runway. It's a real science. Supervisors use these complex tables to pick the exact right fluid for the weather, the temperature, and the specific plane. Okay, we've got the science, we've got the procedure, but what's it actually like to do this job? Let's get a feel for a day, or more likely a night, in the life of a de-icing operator. Let's talk about the pace for a second, because it is wild. A typical two-person team can de-ice 4 to 6 Boeing 737s in a single hour. Just think about that. That's a full passenger jet cleared and ready to go every 10 or 15 minutes. Now, stretch that out over a full shift, especially during a big storm, and one team might service 20 or even 30 aircraft. It is a relentless, high-pressure ballet of machinery and constant communication, all just to keep the airport from grinding to a halt. And you gotta remember, all of this is happening while you're operating a massive boom truck, maybe 45 feet up in the air, often in the dark, with freezing wind and snow blowing in your face. You're bundled up in safety gear, you're on the radio constantly with pilots and ground control. It takes incredible focus and lightning-fast reactions. So a great question is, what happens when the snow melts? And this is actually fantastic news if you're looking for a job. This role is often a gateway to a full-time, year-round career. In the summer, many de-icers just transition to other essential ground crew jobs, like working the ramp, towing aircraft, or handling baggage. All right, so this sounds like a demanding, essential, and kind of cool job, but what does it actually take to get hired? For anyone out there who's maybe thinking, hey, I could do that, let's break down how you get a career on the tarmac. What's pretty amazing here is how accessible this job is. You don't need a college degree. Now, you might need a commercial driver's license to operate the big trucks, but all the specialized training, everything on the equipment, the safety rules, the fluids, it's all provided by the employer. It's a seriously skilled job that you learn by doing. And yeah, the work is tough, but it pays pretty well. The starting range is usually somewhere between $18 and $26 an hour, and that can go even higher for night shifts during big storms or if you're under a union contract. It's demanding work, and the pay definitely reflects that. I want to leave you with this one thought from the article that really just nails the spirit of this job. It's tough, it's cold, and most people never even see it happen. But without these dedicated teams working out there, winter air travel would just stop. So the next time you see a plane taking off into a winter sky, you'll know about the hidden team that made it possible. And for those of you who might be looking for a job with some real purpose, well, the question is, are you ready to join that front line?